That's with Joe.
Chinese. If they can shoot
not bad.
one down.
Like, did you see the difference between those three different bombers? The B1,
No,
the
yeah.
B2,
Oh no,
the
listen.
B6?
I know the bombers is. I love military hardware, so I love the. I can be the music, yeah, when the sky comes falling, even when the sun don't shine. Beat them, but you can't.
You know.
Because we don't believe in war. But if this is truly what Trump wants, he wants to be the president of peace. And if what's going on is going to bring peace for the future of the Middle East, for them to live like joyful, peaceful lives from here on out, like which I hope and pray that's what this is about. That's a great thing. If it's anything other than that, if that's not how this ends, then Trump threw egg on my face.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would even take it further, and I would say that things can be a good idea or a bad idea, regardless of if the outcome is okay. Like if I'm at a bar and I have like way too much to drink, and I'm like, Ubers are expensive, I'm gonna drive home, and I drive home and I don't hurt anybody, and I make it home safely, and I didn't get pulled over, and I saved money on the Uber. Like that still wasn't a good idea, even if the outcome was good. It was a high risk. Choice, right? I think if we have any record of what our track record in the Middle East has been like in terms of, trying to get rid of people we don't like, it often, I mean, that was one of, Trump's criticisms of Obama's foreign policy, saying that, some of our actions helped lead to the rise of ISIS and stuff like that, all these unforeseen consequences. So, and I would just be clear and say that, like, I don't think
against the gold standard. The gold standard is actually gold standard. When you want to define it another way, we could define it another way. We'll see where it works out. Really, is that which ought to be done because it's progressive. If you don't do it, there's negative consequences. That's good. So good is everything that ought to be done because there's positivity entailed with it. Progress. Do you agree on simple words like this, or do you want it to be more elaborate?
Sorry, who's speaking now? I had a phone call this.
Years old.
Yeah, your ass should have it.
It only listed one ship in that class. And there's 4 ships in that class, which is weird. It only listed the Shahid Hassan Bagheera.
I would make you a pancake, but I don't have any butter. I've been meaning to buy some butter for a couple of weeks. I keep forgetting to buy the butter.
I'm lying. It listed all 3 of them. It just didn't list the Shahid Soleimani.
You can't make a Belgian waffle without butter. It's a fact. It's in the recipe.
A serious ship. It could go to Brazil. It was an ocean-going vessel. It was not like a Corvette.
Hit the like button and subscribe now. You.
Sri Lanka was a serious ship. It went all over the world.
Hi, Daniel.
I mean, this class has a range of 5,000 nautical miles.
Did you say something?
Hello. You see, I'm growing up your karma.
Hello, Jacob.
Let me see your camera. What's your
karma? Is unmoved.
5%, man. You got to work on that. Hold on, let's hear it.
Guys, immediately, everyone give hearts to Daniel.
Oh, do you get more for hearts than thumbs up?
Like, I was thinking about it. When you do laugh at something, are you laughing with them or at them?
There should be a differentiation emoji where, your one is, I don't know, there should be, I've thought about that.
Also with fire, do I want to burn you or
No.
The skull one too. I don't know if some.
Like, great. It's not
Oh,
burning
okay.
you.
So the Soleimani is part of the IRGC N, and that's why it didn't come on the list. The list it gave me was the Islamic Republic Navy.
Mohammed, would you like to introduce yourself? Just, I don't know you yet.
Sure. My name is Muhammad. I'm Persian, and I am in Italy. I study computer science bachelor.
Hi, Mohammed.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. We're really following all that stuff which are going on now in Iran, and we're really wishing for the better future for your country.
Yeah, I hope so. 2 days later, we have some gathering in front of U.S. consulate in Napoli.
Act today.
Oh, man, you got some great food in Naples.
Yeah.
So how are the chants when the Iranians protest in Italy? Do those chants make sense? Are they good?
You mean this gathering is has any impact? Has any impact
No.
or not?
No.
Specifically, the words that they chant when they do it in Farsi, there's some beautiful, poetic, strong chants that they have. But in English, they're absolutely fucking terrible. And I'm wondering if they're terrible in Italian as well.
No, I don't think so.
I hate to give the pro-Palestinian groups any credit, but the only thing that they do well is they've got really good nursery school rhymes.
That is true. They're good at they do good marketing.
Yeah, they've got it down. The whole pipeline and professional demonstrators and all that stuff. They've got it down to a science.
Okay, breaking news. According to the Times of Israel, it is estimated that at the current rate, Iran may run out of ballistic missiles in days.
Well, they spread them out more, and yes, the amount goes. I think it was like about 30% every day goes down. But they could. It's enough that they will do like 3 or 4 or 5 a day. That kind of. It's about like ruining everybody's day, not to cause damage.
Well,
Yeah,
I want to say that I think From the River to the Sea is a one-hit wonder. I've never heard anything as catchy as that. I mean, it's like Sugar by the RGs. Yes, they had one great hit. That's all I'm going to give them credit for.
There's so many, Randy. You haven't heard the catalog.
That's a banger.
Yeah.
That
They've
song
got
is a top
they've got
10
a whole
banger.
catalog.
They had the catalog.
This is not the Seagulls. This is the Beatles.
Yes, yeah.
You're saying the Palestinians are the Beatles of protest chants?
No,
Yes.
just yeah. They've got
Yes,
so
absolutely.
many things. I can't even begin to say. But
They've mastered it. They've been doing it for 70
I always
years.
thought Yasser Arafat looked like Ringo, by the way, but that's an interesting comparison.
you have to be careful you don't hum them in the shower.
Yeah, I mean that.
I almost did that
the
once.
IDF thing is catchy. That's to the IDF.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good.
You know what? You're right. That's a banger. That's a definite banger. Top 10.
Okay, you got to stop using the word banger. You're too old to use that word. You cannot.
It's actually very specifically people Randy's age that use the word banger.
You mean in their late 30s?
No, it's younger people use that word. Really?
No. I mean, no, not really.
No, that's according to my kids.
Well, anyway,
Oh,
it refers to a hit song.
Do the kids say it now? Because
We all refer
They
to it.
started it.
No,
But now they've moved on. They've moved on to younger words that they've given us that word.
Yeah, it's skibbity. It's skibbity. That's what you mean.
Yeah, just don't use the word Riz, Randy. If you use the word Riz, I'm gonna. Oh, I can't kick you out of the room.
I mean, Randy is known as the Rizzler.
Randy the Riz.
I love these words. I love them, but I
gotta ask him to deny himself.
No, not at all.
My daughter is so triggered by these words, you would think I was using the N-word. I mean, she hates it when I use that.
Of course, that is something that has always been adults using younger generational language. We've our language adopts so much. What is it like in France? Is it the same thing or not the same?
Yeah. When I was a kid, to say something was chouette. That meant cool in French. Do they even use that?
What?
No, chouette.
Do you guys adopt generational slang like English does, or is it more conformal?
What's another one?
It's the same. You had like vocabulary attached to each generation. That's what you mean. Like vocabulary.
Yeah, I didn't know. I don't know if the Académie Française, had the grips on everything.
No, that's for the older people,
Holy
like
shit.
the dictionaries people.
Yeah, I remember when the bulldozer came around and they said, "Oh, look," they had a word for it, and it just became "little bulldozer."
Right.
The best one.
Le bulldozer.
The best one that I've heard people say is "Don't yuck my yum."
That's been around for a while.
That's so gross. It sounds like something like, I kind of get it, but it just sounds so.
It's something that kids like to say, and then parents repeat. Each kid discovers it on their own.
I'm never using my kids' language.
Their parents think that their kid invented it. It's been around for a while.
Yeah. By the way, Yakov's just being humble. He's saying he's having a test. The reality is this was just a very, very poorly construed imitation of the Ayatollah.
The guy who drove me in, I have the driver temporarily for a while, and he goes,
costume, he's the Ayatollah.
Yeah, no, he says, "You look like an Arab." He goes, "No, wait, you look like a Sikh." He's like, at least he was differentiating. Yeah, it was. I was
that son of a gun in the face, man. Shit.
He doesn't know any better.
I mean, he does. No. I mean, he's accurate. You do look like a Sikh.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was pretty good that he corrected himself. I was like, wow.
I mean, if that was orange, I would definitely say Sikh.
Yeah. I feel bad for the Sikhs. 9/11, those people got, man, in New York City, there are a lot of Sikhs, man. They were unfortunately mistaken for Muslim men, and a lot of bad shit happened then.
You know what they say, seek and you will discover. I just wanted to say sorry.
Sorry?
For what?
Yeah, you're wearing a sari.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I was about to say to Jacob, like the slang is more influenced by Arabic slang.
Yeah, well, you got like 20% population of Arabs now.
Yeah, I mean, it comes from the ghettos and no-go zones. You guys call them.
What's a no-go zone in France? How do you say that?
I call them that because your far-right news call them no-go zones.
Oh, so English? Use an English word, English phrase.
No, it doesn't exist in French, but you know, like the parts of Paris and Marseille that are very dangerous because of.
No, I meant do you have a phrase in French for no-go?
When your far right describes it, what do they call it?
Ghettos.
Ghetto.
You know how they say shopping in German?
Shopping?
Shopping.
No, shopping. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
No, I don't remember. I did.
But what about poor districts that are not Arabs that you could go into? Like those are.
Wait, in France, I don't think there are any more. Are there any?
Of course there are.
Yeah, Barbès.
Marseille, the whole city of Marseille.
The whole city of Marseille is Algeria, basically.
I was thinking of things.
Come on. Oh, I got it right.
100%.
Daniel, how do you say shopping in German?
Yeah, I want to know how Daniel says shopping in Germany.
Yeah. You brought it up, Daniel.
Forgot.
No, I can hear shopping center.
You brought it up. How do you say shopping?
Shopping. Verkaufen.
Coffee.
Kaufen is to buy, right?
Yes.
Kaufen.
What did you say hi to?
Roya.
June.
Roya.
Hey, Aya.
Hi, Roya June.
Hi, Daniel. What's up?
Good. How are you?
Okay.
Listen.
Et voilà!
In the shadows of Tehran.
That's it.
We don't take this like partial bullshit. Come on, we want a whole song.
What are you edging them, man? What is this?
Yeah, come on. We want a whole song, Daniel. Come on.
Well, I just sampled the Tehran and can I use
We
the
know what
other
to sample.
We know what you did. We just that's not excusable.
Daniel, by the way, how's that song about Hamas feeling abandoned by their lover, the IRG?
The John one? I didn't do it yet.
Can you do a song?
I mean, if you don't do it soon, it's going to be less timely.
Can you do a
Daniel,
song?
you know what would be a good move for you? If you wrote me a song. You made me a song.
I have one for you. I have one. You want it?
It would be
Don't play the Buttercup song, Daniel. Don't do it.
No, I wouldn't dare. I wouldn't dare. But I have one. Where is it? Here, I think it's this one.
You don't want peace, you want a fire. You say you hate the dark, but you're sleeping in a flame.
my Nazi cat.
Hey, that's a pretty good song. Thank you. That was for Roya. Chaos.
That was fire. That was for Roya. Roya, how'd you like it? I think she's
Roya had to take a call. She actually made a call because she just wanted to be chaotic and missed the whole thing.
Yeah, no one thinks that Roya is speechless.
Thank you.
She must be busy.
Thank you so much. Super flattering.
So
Yeah.
Daniel,
Now I know definitely never to joke with you.
Daniel, you definitely need to make the song we discussed yesterday.
I need to write that deal, John.
I think we got some. Julia wants a song as well now, so.
Yeah.
It wasn't really about
that song is also for Julia.
Well, Julia is not so chaotic. It wasn't really written for Roya, but it was dedicated to her.
Well, I think you hurt her feelings.
You think?
Why she left?
Oh,
She'll be back.
it was an amazing song. I liked it.
She was just being chaotic. Yeah, that's on the better side of what you've done, Daniel.
Well, what?
But the virtue signaling one is the Buttercup song is the best.
Virtue signaling.
The virtue signaling.
song, Daniel? Yes, that's
Wow,
what I
that's
did.
really good.
Thank you.
Daniel is really good.
It's all on my YouTube channel that is in my profile.
I don't know why you haven't figured out how to put it on Spotify, though. Like, some of these songs actually could go viral.
I need to find out how to do this because it's not straightforward. You need to have like some kind of aggregator that will do it for you.
Daniel, and also when you put link in Clubhouse, you need to do it another way. For example, look on the Roy's profile. Their link you can click, and on your profile you can't click.
For Roya. Hold on, let me look.
She left, but ask her how she did it because like it's very uncomfortable to take link from your profile.
Where does she have a link in her profile?
She had one. She put it there for Tarek.
You have to start doing some things, dude. You have to start doing some things,
No, she
dude.
can put links on her profile because she's a Plus member.
No, you can only put for X, no?
No, you can
Right
also
now.
put Instagram as well. But you need to
Okay, so I will ask people with X to put my link in their profile.
I can. Send it to me. Your YouTube link?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. For sure.
You better watch out.
If you have a specific song, you can direct it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks really straightforward, Daniel,
What?
doing this. Getting your shit onto Spotify, it seems really straightforward.
I tried through this system, but I never heard back from them. They said it could take a few weeks, but I don't know.
Who'd you try to get on with? DistroKid?
I don't know. I need to find out. I asked ChatGPT how to do it. I need to hold on. I need to find this
It
concept.
seems to suggest DistroKid.
What's the name again?
There's DistroKid, TuneCore, CD Baby, DistroKid.
This like a distribution distro.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's
It costs $23 a year in order to do it.
DistroKid. Okay.
They are the industry standard. For sure. DistroKid is the real deal.
Right, but is that only for original music, or is it also for AI generated music?
Also AI. Also AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, AI music is original.
Well, it is, but it's a gray area. There's a whole talk about it, you know, because it does grab elements from different.
No, but that's inspiration, and every artist gets inspiration from music.
That's true. Right, that's true. It's a whole topic, man. It's a gray area where.
I mean, it's not just in music; it's also with art.
Suno and. But yeah.
For the models that they were trained on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You gotta
it would be very. Yeah, it will be very weird if it will work out because they look at patterns and they don't look necessarily specific at one song and they copy it. Let's see if it will work or not. So hold on, I see that it's like the prices is like for example monthly. If I do it and I upload and then I stop, what happened to the music? It stays or?
No, it goes.
It goes. I need to, as long as I pay, and I can stay. Got it.
Yeah, but in theory, you're talking about DistroKid and they're $23 a year.
No, they have like different ones. They have. No, I don't see.
Velvet curtain, dust on the stairs.
Not getting
Yo, get the fuck out.
Each candle's trembling, names on a page. Seven-sided mirror, smoke in my chest. Every question burns through my dress. Hold the pillar and the flame. I call the silence by its name. Crown over chaos, heart over fear. All of the worlds are turning in here. All of the numbers climb the line. Dust into breath, matter decide. Power is mercy, just as the storm. I fall apart, so the truth can be born. Cards on the table, gold, sword, stone, fool in a circle, steps into unknown. Every hidden symbol points to the same sky. What is a throne if the soul stays dry? Tell me. Pillar and the flame. Call the silence by its name. Climb over chaos, war over fear. All of the worlds are turning in here. All of the numbers climb the line. Just into matter decide. Power is mercy, just as the storm. I fall apart, so the truth can be born. Is this fate or is this choice? Ancient script on my own voice, my own voice. If you roll me into time, teach me how to read the signs. answer with numbers and names, 10 doors in the mind. One word you're afraid to say. Crown above the cards, name above the name. Red curtain breathes in, dust in the gold beam, turning cards on a velvet square. High priestess watching, silent, smirking. You ask about power, I answer with numbers and names. 10 doors in the mind, one word you're afraid to say. Crown above the cards, name above the name. You're chasing shadows. Candles in a circle, cards face down, they breathe. Names I never speak out loud, rise like smoke for me. Golden threads in darkness, map a path I've walked in dreams. 10 bright doors inside me, all of them hold keys. I come the ladder of 10, calling your secret name again. Every step, every breath I remember. Power like thunder in my hands. You turn shadows into sand. God of power, make me a spark of your center. Crowns and broken kingdoms, mirror in a cup of wine. Every symbol shakes my chest, draws a circle around my spine. I touch my fear so gently, lay it on an unseen scale. Hear a whisper, not a voice. I was with you when you fell. I come louder of 10, calling your secret name again. Every step, every breath I remember. Power like thunder in my hands. You turn shadows into sand. God of power, make me a spark of your center. cracks of my heart. 10 bright branches on a map in my hands. Every step that I take was already planned. Crown of 10, call me higher. Every path cuts like wire. Holy fire on my skin. God of
tonight. Like, what are you getting into? What are you doing? You know? And it's like, nothing, dude. I'm go hang out with my kids. Fucking leave me alone, weirdo. I'm not trying to hang out with your ass. You know what I mean? Like, what's the move tonight, bro? I'm married, dog. There's no move.
Apparently testosterone drops when you have kids. But then if you lose access to the kids for any reason, it goes back up again too.
We're off a boat.
Oh, I thought you were off a boat. No, I'm not.
You can't even say boat right.
You can barely say the words. Fuck out of here.
Spell boat.
Can you spell it?
You spell boat.
Motherfucker.
He can.
Politically correct just playing copyright music. They got nothing else to do. Oh man, they exhausted themselves.
Here it is. I will stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons. And we won't be using a man like Secretary Kerry that has absolutely no concept of negotiation, who's making a horrible and laughable deal, who's just being tapped along as they make weapons right now, and then goes into a bicycle race at 72 years old and breaks his leg. I won't be doing that. And I promise I will never be in a bicycle race, that I can tell you. Now,
So no nukes in Iran and no bicycle racing.
bicycles are gay.
Yeah.
He's kept both promises. They look like a gay flock of seagulls in their spandex, availing their asses. Genuine question. We'll take a chance. Wherever you line up, can you honestly sit there and say that Donald Trump is a traitor? Can you honestly say that his stance on Iran, and I know people will pull up some tweets where they'll say Donald Trump said that Barack Obama would attack Iran because he was saying that Barack Obama had no balls, and so ultimately he wasn't able to handle negotiations. He was trying to say that he knew how to do the art of the. We have statement after. How far? We have very few people, by the way, on Earth, who we could point to and say has been that consistent on any issue. We're just fortunate that he was a public figure pre-social media, where we have his opinion on Iran in 1980. You want to impeach?
trace your name down the spine of the card. Gold ink bleeding through the cracks of my heart. 10 bright branches on a map in my hands. Every step that I take was already planned.
He said wisdom is an old man's hands. Joy is a child in the pouring rain. Beauty is your mother humming in the kitchen. Peace is breathing through the ache and the strain. Knowledge is the questions you still keep asking. Courage is
that tremble as you take the step. Morals are the lines that you draw in the shadows. Virtue's what you guard when you got nothing left. I see the image of the golden man in the way you love, in the way you stand. Not some halo, not some distant sky, just a quiet grace in your tired eyes. If I get lost, if I lose my plan, teach me the heart of God in a human hand. Character's the promise you make at midnight. Affection is the crack where the light gets in. All these broken pieces on the table between us turn to something holy when you call me friend. I see the image of the golden man in the way you love, in the way you stand. Not some halo, not some distant sky, just a quiet grace in your tired eyes. If I get lost, if I lose my plan, teach me the heart of God in a human hand. Every scar, a little stained glass window. Every failure folded into prayer. If heaven has a face, I know it looks a lot like mercy here. I see the
Woo! Nasty! Nasty! Oh my God! Woo!
not some halo, not some distant sky, just a quiet grace in your tired eyes. If I get lost, if I lose my plan, teach me the heart of God in a human hand. Teach me the heart of God in a human hand. You said wisdom is an old man's hands. Joy is a child in the pouring rain. Beauty is your mother humming in the kitchen. Peace is breathing through the ache and the strain. Knowledge is a question you still keep asking. Courage is a tremble as you take a step. Morals are the lines that you draw in the shadow. Virtue is what you guard when you got nothing left. I see the image of the golden man in the way you love, in the way you stand. Not some halo, not some distant sky, just a quiet grace in your promise you make it midnight. Perfection is a crack where the light gets in. All these broken pieces on the table between us turn to something holy when you call me friend. I see the image of the golden man in the way you love, in the way you stand. Not some halo, not some distant sky, just a quiet grace in your tired eyes. If I get lost, if I lose my plan, teach me the heart of God in a human hand. Every scar, a little stained glass window. Every failure folded into prayer. If heaven has a face, I know it looks a lot like mercy here. I see the image of the golden man in the way you love, in the way you stand. Not some halo, not some distant sky, just a quiet grace in your tired eyes. If I get lost, if I lose my plan, teach me the heart of God in a human hand. Teach me the heart of God in a human hand. I was chasing flawless, straight lines, clean hands. Try to polish every moment into something it could never stand. But wisdom came quiet, like rain on dry ground. Said you're not a finished statue, you're the clay I'm shaping now. I'm a perfect work in progress. Every scar, every step, every breath held inside your kindness. You're not asking me to impress. You call this beating, breaking heart, a mirror of your love. I was chasing flawless, straight lines, clean hands. Try to polish every moment into something that can never stand. But wisdom came quiet, like rain on dry ground. Said you're not a finished statue, you're the clay I'm shaping now. I'm a perfect work in progress. Every scar, every step, every breath held inside your kindness. You're not asking me to impress. You call this beating, breaking heart, and me. Little cracks in my halo, coffee stain on my white shirt. Still I'm tracing every shadow for a hint of how you were. I keep tripping on my questions, set my heart on every doubt. coffee stain on my white shirt. Still I'm tracing every shadow for a hint of how you were. I keep tripping on my questions, stir my heart on every doubt. Yeah, you're writing in the margins, lines I still can't figure out. You're the wisdom in my words, you're inside my aching chest. You're the beauty in the broken piece that lets my chaos rest. You're the curse in the shaking. You're the way my will grows kind. Perfect love, perfect reflection, drawing heaven through my life. I was taught a list of virtues, all the ways I had to shine. But you're patient with my missteps, turning rules to living life. Every scar becomes a teacher, every failure fertile ground. Slowly shaping self-forgiveness till your kindness shows up.
Okay, Rabbanu Shalom. Hello? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to read a book. It's going to be like a 30-minute meditation. I hope you enjoy. Rabbanu Shalom. We are almost finished with this book. We are getting closer and closer and closer and closer. Can I go to the... Okay, this is the Isa Book Club, Reading Wisdom by John Kitover. Rabbanu Shalom. This is going to be a 30-minute book reading, aka a meditation. We're sipping coffee. We're taking deep breaths. And we are about to engage with the Kabbalah. Oh, my friend is here. The Sheikh, going by another name. You know, I told somebody the other day, I was like, so are you going to take a layover in Palestine on your way to Iran, or are you going to take a layover in Pakistan? And they were like, huh? And I was like, I got a retarded friend who likes to make that joke. And they're like, huh? I was like, never mind. Fuck off. And then he's like, oh, I'm married. I have kids. I'm retired. I'm rich. I'm this. I'm that. And I'm just like, well, have a great night. Take care now. Hello?
That's what happens if you don't wear Teflon when you're supposed to.
Ribbon Shalom. Should put some tefillin on. Okay, this is a book club. We're now on page 158, and there's 290 pages, so we got 130 pages to go, and then we'll be all done. It's very exciting. So take the deepest breath of the day. Hold it for 10 seconds. Well, said he to his consultant, give me some details about your visions. What you tell me interests me in the highest degree. The sorcerer, for one must call him so. The sorcerer then told him of a series of strange facts of which two families had been witness, and these facts were precisely identical with the phenomena of Mr. Home. Hands coming out of walls, movements of furniture, phosphorescent apparitions. One day the rash apprentice magician had dared to call up Astaroth and had seen the apparition of a gigantic monster having the body of a hog and the head borrowed from the skeleton of a colossal ox. But he told all that with an accent of truth, a certainty of having seen which excluded every kind of doubt as to the good faith and the entire conviction of the narrator. Eliphas, who is an epicure in magic, was delighted with this find. In the 19th century, a real sorcerer of the Middle Ages, a remarkably innocent and convinced sorcerer, a sorcerer who had seen Satan under the name of Adonai, Satan dressed like a respectable citizen, and Astaroth in his true diabolical form. What a supreme find for a museum. What a treasure for an archaeologist. My friend, said he to his new disciple, I'm going to help you find what you say you have lost. Take my book, observe the prescriptions of the ritual, and come again to see me in a week. A week later he returned, but this time the workman declared that he had invented a life-saving machine of the greatest importance for the Navy. The machine is perfectly put together. It only lacks one thing. It will not work. There is a hidden defect in the machinery. What was that defect? The evil spirit alone could tell him. It is then absolutely necessary to evoke him. Take care you do not, said Eliphas. You had much better say for 9 days this Kabbalistic evocation. He gave him a leaf covered with manuscript. Begin this evening and return tomorrow to tell me what you've seen, for tonight you will have a manifestation. The next day our good man did not miss the appointment. I woke up suddenly, said he, upon 1 o'clock in the morning. In front of my bed I saw a bright light, and in this light a shadowy arm which passed and repassed before me, as if to magnetize me. Then I went to sleep again, and some instants afterwards, waking anew, I saw again the same light, but it had changed its place. It had passed from left to right, and upon a luminous background I distinguished the silhouette of a man who was looking at me with arms crossed. What was this man like? Just about your height and breadth. It is well. Go and continue to do what I told you. The 9 days rolled by. At the end of that time, a new visit, but this time he was absolutely radiant and excited as soon as he caught sight of Eliphas. "Thanks, master!" he cried. "The machine works. People whom I did not know have come to place at my disposal the funds which were necessary to carry out my enterprise. I have found again peace and sleep, and all that thanks to your power. Say rather, thanks to your faith and your docility. And now farewell, I must work. Well, why do you assume this suppliant air, and what more do you want of me? Oh, if you only would. Well, what now? Have you not obtained all that you asked for? And even more than you asked for you did not mention money to me." "Yes, doubtless," said the other, sighing, "but I do want to see him again." "Incorrigible," said Eliphas. Some days afterwards, the professor of transcendental magic was awakened, about 2 o'clock in the morning, by an acute pain in the head. For some moments he feared a cerebral congestion. He therefore rose, relit his lamp, opened his window, walked to and fro in his study, and then, calmed by the fresh air of the morning, he lay down again and slept deeply. He had a nightmare. He saw, terribly real, the giant with the fleshless ox's head of which the workman had spoken to him. The monster pursued him and struggled with him. When he woke up, it was already day, and somebody was knocking at his door. Eliphas rose, threw on a dressing gown, and opened. It was the workman. "Master," said he, entering hastily with an alarmed air. "How are you?" "Very well," replied Eliphas. "But last night at 2 o'clock in the morning, did you not run a great danger?" Eliphas did not grasp the allusion. He already no longer remembered the indisposition of the night. "A change," said he. "No, none that I know of." Hey, Meta, start recording. Meta, start recording. Meta, record. Hello? "A danger," said he. "No, none that I know of." "Have you not been assaulted by a monster phantom who sought to strangle you? Did it not hurt you?" Eliphas remembered. "Yes," said he, "certainly I had the beginning of a sort of apoplectic attack and a horrible dream, but how do you know that?" At the same time, an invisible hand struck me roughly on the shoulder and awoke me suddenly. I dreamt then that I saw you fighting with Astaroth. I jumped up, and a voice said in my ear, "Arise and go to help of thy master. He is in danger." I got up in a great hurry, but where must I run? What danger threatened you? Was it at your own house or elsewhere? The voice said nothing about that. I decided to wait for sunrise. And immediately day dawned, I ran, and here I am. "Thanks, friend," said the Magus, holding out his hand. "Astaroth is a stupid joker. All that happened last night was a little blood to the head. Now I am perfectly well. Be assured then, and return to your work. Strange as may be the facts which we have just related, there remains for us to unveil a tragic drama much more extraordinary still. It refers to the deed of blood, which at the beginning of this year plunged Paris and all Christendom into mourning and stupefaction. A deed in which no one suspected that black magic had any part. Here is what happened. During the winter at the beginning of last year, a bookseller informed the author of the dogme et ritual de la Haute Magie that an ecclesiastic was looking for his address, testifying the greatest desire to see him. Eliphas Levi did not feel himself immediately prepossessed with confidence towards the stranger, to the point of exposing himself without precaution to his visits. He indicated the house of a friend, where he was to be in the company of a faithful disciple, Des Baroles. At the hour and date appointed they went, in fact, to the house of and found that the ecclesiastic had been waiting for them for some moments. He was a young and slim man. He had an arched and pointed nose, with dull blue eyes. His bony and projecting forehead was rather broad than high. His head was dolichocephalic, his hair flat and short, parted on one side, of grayish blonde with just a tinge of chestnut of a rather curious and disagreeable shade. His mouth was sensual and quarrelsome. His manners were affable, his voice soft, and his speech sometimes a little embarrassed. Questioned by Eliphas Levi concerning the object of his visit, he replied that he was on the lookout for the grimoire of Honorius, and that he had come to learn from the professor of occult science how to obtain that little black book, nowadays almost impossible to find. "I would gladly give 100 francs for a copy of that grimoire," said he. "The work in itself is valueless," said Eliphas. "It is a pretended constitution of Honorius II, which you will find perhaps quoted by some erudite collector of apocryphal constitutions. You can find it in the library." "I will do so, for I pass almost all my time in Paris in the public libraries." "You are not occupied in the ministry in Paris?" "No, not now. I was for some little while employed in the parish of Saint-Germain-Auxerrois." "And now you spend your time understanding curious researches in occult science." "Not precisely, but I am seeking the realization of a thought. I have something to do. I do not suppose that this something can be an operation of black magic. You know as well as I do, Reverend Sir, that the Church has always condemned, and still condemns severely, everything which relates to these forbidden practices." A pale smile, imprinted with a sort of sarcastic irony, was all the answer that the abbé gave, and the conversation fell to the ground. However, the chiromancer des Baroles was attentively looking at the hand of the priest. He perceived it a quite natural explanation followed the abbé, offered graciously, and of his own accord, his hand to the experimenter. Des Baroles knit his brows and appeared embarrassed. The hand was damp and cold, the fingers smooth and spatulated. The mount of Venus, or the part of the palm of the hand which corresponds to the thumb, was of a noteworthy development. The line of life was short and broken. There were crosses in the center of the hand, and stars upon the mount of the moon. "Reverend Sir," said Desbaroles, if you had not a very solid religious education, you would easily become a dangerous sectary. For you are led on the one hand toward the most exalted mysticism, and on the other to the most concentrated obstinacy combined with the greatest secretiveness that can possibly be. uh, mm, 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 mm. My, oh my, oh my.
Message on your phone
Oh, I cracked myself up. Okay, this is page 164. I think this is where we left off. You want much, but you imagine more. And as you confide your imaginations to nobody, they might attain proportions which would make them veritable enemies for yourself. Your habits are contemplative and rather easy-going, but it is a somnolence whose awakenings are perhaps to be dreaded. You're carried away by a passion which your state of life. Pardon, Reverend Sir, I fear that I am overstepping the boundaries of discretion. Say everything, sir. I'm willing to hear all. I wish to know everything. Oh, well, if, as I do not doubt to be the case, you turn to the profit of charity all the restless activities with which the passions of your heart furnish you, you must often be blessed for your good works. The Abbé once more smiled that dubious and fatal smile which gave so singular an expression to his pallid countenance. He rose and took his leave without having given his name and without anyone having thought to ask him for it. Eliphas and Esbaroles reconducted him as far as the staircase in token of respect for his dignity as a priest. Near the staircase he turned and said slowly, "Before long you will hear something. You will hear me spoken of," he added, emphasizing each word. Then he saluted with head in hand, turned without adding a single word, and descended the staircase. The two friends returned to M.A.'s room. "That is a singular personage," said Eliphas. "I think I have seen Pierrot of the Funambules playing the part of a traitor. What he said to us on his departure seemed to me very much like a threat." "You frightened him," said M.A. "Before your arrival he was beginning to open his whole mind, but you spoke to him of conscience and the laws of the church, and he no longer dared to tell you what he wished." "Bah! What did he wish, then? To see the devil? Perhaps he thought I had him in my pocket?" "No, but he knows that you give lessons in the Kabbalah and in magic, and so he hoped that you would help him in his enterprise. He told my daughter and myself that in his vicarage in the country he had already made one night an evocation of the devil by the help of a popular grimoire. Then, said he, whirlwind seemed to shake the vicarage. The rafts groaned, the wainscoting cracked, the door shook, the windows opened with a crash, and whistlings were heard in every corner of the house. He then expected that formidable vision to follow, but he saw nothing. No monster presented itself. In a word, the devil would not appear. That is why he is looking for the grimoire of Honorius, for he hopes to find it in strong conjurations and more efficacious rites." "Really? But the man is then a monster, or a madman." "I think he is just simply in love," said Desbaroles. "He is gnawed by some absurd passion, and hopes for absolutely nothing unless he can get the devil to interfere." "But how then? What does he mean when he says that we shall hear him spoken of?" "Who knows? Perhaps he thinks to carry off the Queen of England, or the Sultana Valide. The conversation dropped and a whole year passed without M.A. or Desbaroles or Alifis hearing the unknown young priest spoken of. I am running for Congress. I'm a write-in candidate. Is it the real Ray Cohen? You want to be my Ray Cohen? Oh, he left. Bono Shalala. In the course of the night between the 1st and 2nd of January 1857, Eliphas Levi was awakened suddenly by the emotions of a bizarre and dismal dream. It seemed to him that he was in a dilapidated room of Gothic architecture, rather like the abandoned chapel of an old castle. A door hidden by a black drapery opened onto this room. Take a little break here until the... Ray Cohen, my Ray Cohen. I've been looking for you, Ray. I need a Mr. Cohen. I like your style. I like the work you do. Be happy to have you be my campaign manager on this campaign. Thanks, Ray. I appreciate you. Continuing on. A door hidden by a black drapery opened onto this room. Behind the drapery, one guessed the hidden light of tapers, and it seemed to Eliphas that, driven by a curiosity full of terror, he was approaching the black drapery. Then the drapery was parted and a hand was stretched forth and seized the arm of Eliphas. He saw no one, but he heard a low voice which said in his ear, "Come and see your father who is about to die." The Magus awoke, his heart palpitating and his forehead bathed in sweat. "What can this dream mean?" thought he. "It is long since my father died. Why am I told that he is going to die? And why has this warning upset me?" The following night, the same dream recurred with the same circumstances. Once more, Eliphas awoke, hearing a voice in his ear repeat, "Come and see your father, who is about to die." This repeated nightmare made a painful impression upon Eliphas. He had accepted for the 3rd of January an invitation to dinner in pleasant company, but he wrote and excused himself, feeling himself little inclined for the gaiety of a banquet of artists. He remained then in his study. The weather was cloudy. At midday he received a visit from one of his magical pupils, Viscount M. When he left, the rain was falling in such abundance that Eliphas offered his umbrella to the Viscount, who refused it. There followed a contest of politeness, of which the result was that Eliphas went out to see the Viscount home. While they were in the street, the rain stopped. The Viscount found a carriage, and Eliphas, instead of returning to his house, mechanically crossed the Luxembourg, went out by the gate, which opens on the Rue d'Enfer, and found himself opposite the Pantheon. A double row of booths improvised for the festival of Saint Genevieve indicated to pilgrims the road to Saint Etienne du Mont. Eliphas, whose heart was sad and consequently disposed to prayer, followed that way and entered the church. It might have been at that time about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The church was full of the faithful, and the office was performed with great concentration and extraordinary solemnity. The banners of the parishes of the city and of the suburbs bore witness to the public veneration for the Virgin, who saved Paris from famine and invasion. At the bottom of the church, the tomb of Saint Genevieve shone gloriously with light. They were chanting the litanies, and the procession was coming out of the choir. After the cross, accompanied by its acolytes and followed by the choir boys, came the banner of Saint Genevieve. Then walking in double file came the lady devotees of Saint Genevieve, clothed in black with a white veil on the head, a blue ribbon around the neck, and the medal of the legend, a taper in the hand, surmounted by the little Gothic lantern that tradition gives to the images of the saint. For in the old book, Saint Genevieve is always represented with a medal on her neck, that which Saint Germain de Auxerre gave her, and holding a taper which the devil tries to extinguish, but which is protected from the breath of the unclean spirit by a miraculous little tabernacle. After the lady devotees came the clergy. Then finally appeared the venerable Archbishop Paris, mitred with a white mitre, wearing a cope which was supported on each side by his two vicars. The prelate, leaning on his cross, walked slowly and blessed to right and left the crowd which knelt about his path. Eliphas saw the Archbishop for the first time and noticed the features of his countenance. They expressed kindliness and gentleness, but one might observe the expression of a great fatigue, and even of a nervous suffering painfully dissimulated. The procession descended to the foot of the church, traversing the nave, went up again by the aisle at the left of the door, came to the station of the tomb of Saint Genevieve. Then it returned by the right-hand aisle, chanting the litanies as it went. A group of the faithful followed the procession and walked immediately behind the Archbishop. Eliphas mingled in this group in order more easily to get through the crowd which was about to reform, so that he might regain the door of the church. He was lost in reverie, softened by this pious solemnity. The head of the procession had already returned to the choir. The Archbishop was arriving at the railing of the nave. There the passage was too narrow for 3 people to walk in file. The Archbishop was in front, and the 2 grand vicars behind him, always holding the edges of his cope, which was thus thrown off and drawn backwards in such a manner that the prelate presented his breast uncovered and protected only by the crossed embroideries of his stole. Then those who were behind the Archbishop saw him tremble, and we heard an interruption in a loud and clear voice, but without shouting or clamor. What had been said? It seemed that it was, "Down with the goddesses!" I thought that I had not heard right, so out of place and void of sense it seemed. However, the exclamation was repeated twice or thrice. Then someone cried, "Save the Archbishop!" Other voices replied, "To arms!" The crowd, overturning the chairs and the barriers, scattered and rushed towards the door, shrieking. Amidst the wails of the children and the screams of the women, Eliphas, carried away by the crowd, found himself somehow or other out of the church, but the last look that he was able to cast upon it was smitten with a terrible and ineffaceable picture. In the midst of a circle made large by the affright of all those who surrounded him, the prelate was standing alone, leaning always on his cross and held up by the stiffness of his cope, which the grand vicars had let go, and which accordingly hung down to the ground. The head of the Archbishop was a little thrown back, his eyes and his free hand raised to heaven. His attitude was that which Eugene Delacroix has given to the Bishop of Liège in the picture of his assassination by the bandits of the Wild Boar. There was in his gesture the whole epic of martyrdom. It was an acceptance and an offering, a prayer for his people and a pardon for his murderer. This is the subnote. Extract from Sir Walter Scott's notes on the murder of the Bishop of Liege. The bishop's murder did not take place till 1482. In the months of August and September of that year, William de la Marck, called the Wild Boar of the Ardennes, entered into a conspiracy with the discontented citizens of Liege against the Bishop Louis of Bourbon, being aided with considerable sums of money by the King of France. By this means, and with the assistance of many murderers and banditti, who thronged to him as to a leader befitting them, de la Marck assembled a body of troops. With this little army he approached the city of Liege. Upon this, the citizens who were engaged in the conspiracy came to the bishop, and offering to stand by him to the death, exhorted him to march out against these robbers. The bishop therefore put himself at the head of a few troops of his own, trusting to the assistance of the people of Liege. But as soon as they came in sight of the enemy, the citizens, as before agreed, fled from the bishop's banner, and he was left with his own handful of adherents. At this moment de la Marck charged at the head of his men. With the expected success, the bishop was brought before de la Marck, who first cut him over the face, then murdered him with his own hand, and caused his body to be exposed naked in the great square of Liege before St. Lambert's Cathedral. 3 years after the bishop's death, Maximilian, Emperor of Austria, caused de la Marck to be arrested at Utrecht, where he was beheaded in 1485. The day was falling. The day was falling and the church was beginning to grow dark. The archbishop, his arms raised to heaven, lighted by a last ray which penetrated the casements of the nave, stood out upon a dark background, where one could scarcely distinguish a pedestal without a statue, on which were written these two words of the Passion of Christ, Ecce Homo. And farther in the background, an apocalyptic painting represented the four plagues ready to let themselves loose upon the world in the whirlwinds of hell, following the dusty traces of the pale horse of death. Before the archbishop, a lifted arm, sketched in a shadow like an infernal silhouette, held and brandished a knife. Policemen, sword in hand, were running up. And while at this tumult was going on at the bottom of the church, the singing of the litanies continued in the choir as the harmony of the orbs of heaven goes on forever, careless of our revolutions and our anguish. Eliphas Levi had been swept out of the church by the crowd. He had come out by the right-hand door almost at the same moment. The left-hand door was flung violently open, and a furious group of men rushed out of the church. Eliphas Levi had been swept out of the church by the crowd. This group was whirling around a man whom 50 arms seemed to hold, whom 100 shaking fists sought to strike. This man later complained of having been roughly handled by the police, but as far as one could see in such an uproar, the police were rather protecting him against the exasperation of the mob. Women were running after him, shrieking, "Kill him!" "But what has he done?" cried other voices. "The wretch! He has struck the archbishop with his fist," said the women. Then others came out of the church, and contradictory accounts were flying to and fro. "The archbishop was frightened and has fainted," said some. "He is dead," replied others. "Did you see the knife?" added a third coma. It is as long as a saber, and the blood was streaming on the blade. The poor archbishop has lost one of his slippers, remarked an old woman, joining her hands. It is nothing, cried a woman who rented chairs. You can come back to the church. Monsignor is not hurt. They have just said so from the pulpit. The crowd then made a movement to return to the church. Go! Go! Said at that very moment the grave and anguished voice of a priest. The office cannot be continued. We are going to close the church. It is profaned. Okay, we're going to read 2 more pages, and then we're going to shut this recording down. I hope you're enjoying this. It's called reading a book. How is the archbishop? Said a man. Sir, replied the priest, the archbishop is dying. Perhaps even at this very moment he is dead. The crowd dispersed in consternation to spread the mournful news of Paris. A bizarre incident happened to Eliphas and made a kind of diversion for his deep sorrow at what had just passed. At the moment of the uproar, an aged woman of the most respectable appearance had taken his arm and claimed his protection. He made it a duty to reply to this appeal, and when he had got out of the crowd with this lady, "How happy I am," said she, "to have met a man who weeps for this great crime, for which at this moment so many wretches rejoice." "What are you saying, madame? How is it possible that there should exist beings so depraved as to rejoice at so great a misfortune?" "Silence!" said the old lady. "Perhaps we are overheard. Yes," she added, lowering her voice. "There are people who are exceedingly pleased at what has happened. And look there, just now there was a man of sinister mien, who said to the anxious crowd, when they asked him what had happened, 'Oh, it is nothing. It is a spider which has fallen.'" "No, madam, you must have misunderstood. The crowd would not have suffered so abominable a remark, and the man would have been immediately arrested." Subnote: this man was presumably Levi himself, as the abominable authors of the grimoires concealed child beneath kid, so Levi is careful to disguise his true attitude to the church, which he wished to destroy. Okay, this will be the last page I'm reading. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe now. "Would to God that all the world thought as you do," said the lady. Then she added, "I recommend myself to your prayers, for I see clearly that you are a man of God." "Perhaps everyone does not think so," replied Eliphas. "And what does the world matter to us?" replied the lady with vivacity. "The world lies and calumniates and is impious. It speaks evil of you, perhaps. I am not surprised at it, and if you knew what it says of me, you would easily understand why I despise its opinion." "The world speaks evil of you, madam?" "Yes, in truth, and the greatest evil that can be said." "How so?" "It accuses me of sacrilege." "You frighten me." "Of what sacrilege, if you please?" "Of an unworthy comedy that I am supposed to have played in order to deceive 2 children on the mountain of Saletti." "What?" "You must be—" "I am Mademoiselle de la Maliere. I have heard speak of your child, Mademoiselle, and of the scandal which it caused, but it seems to me that your age and your position ought to have sheltered you from such an accusation. Come and see me, sir, and I will present you to my lawyer, Mr. Favre, who is a man of talent whom I wish to gain to God." Subnote: unless he were able to make himself invisible, as Levi, of course, could do. This is the point of his irony. Thus talking, the 2 companions had arrived at the Rue de Vieux Colombia. The lady thanked her improvised cavalier and renewed her invitation to come to see her. I will try to do so, said Eliphas. But if I come, shall I ask the porter for Millier de la Merliere? Do not do so, she said. I am not known under that name. Ask for Dutrick. Dutrick. Certainly, madam. I present my humble compliments. And they separated. The trial of the assassin began, and Eliphas, reading in the newspapers that the man was a priest, that he had belonged to the clergy of Saint Germain-l'Auxerrois, that he had been a country vicar, and that he seemed exalted to the point of madness, recalled the pale priest who a year earlier had been looking for the grimoire of Honorius. The description which the public sheets gave of the criminal disagreed with recollection of the professor of magic. In fact, the majority of the papers said that he had black hair. It is not he, then, thought Eliphas. However, I still keep in my ear and in my memory the word which would now be explained for me by this great crime. You will soon learn something. Before a little, you will hear speak of me. The trial took place with all the frightful vicissitudes with which everyone is familiar, and the accused was condemned to death. The next day, Eliphas read in a legal newspaper the account of this unheard-of scene in the annals of justice, but a cloud passed over his eyes when he came to the description of the accused. He is blonde. Okay, actually, we're just going to read one more page, so when I come back to the book, I won't duplicate the reading. This is the final page. It must be he, said the professor of magic. Some days afterwards, a person who had been able to sketch the convict during the trial showed it to Eliphas. Let me copy this drawing, said he, all trembling with fear. He made the copy and took it to his friend Desbaroles, of whom he asked, without other explanation, do you know this head? Yes, said Desbaroles energetically. Wait a moment. Yes. It is the mysterious priest whom we saw at, A's, who wanted to make magical evocations. Oh, well, my friend, you confirm me in my sad conviction. The man we saw we shall never see again. The hand which you examined has become a bloody hand. We have heard speak of him as he told us we should. That pale priest, do you know what was his name? Oh, my God, said Desbaroles, changing color. I am afraid to know it. Well, you know it. It was the wretch Louis Berger. Some weeks after what we have just recorded, Eliphas Levi was talking with a bookseller whose specialty was to make a collection of old books concerning the occult sciences. They were talking of the grimoire of Honorius. Nowadays it is impossible to find it, said the merchant. The last that I had in my hands I sold to a priest for 100 francs. A young priest. Do you remember what he looked like? Oh, perfectly, but you ought to know him well yourself, for he told me he had seen you, and it is I who sent him to you. No more doubt then the unhappy priest had found the fatal grimoire. He had done the evocation and prepared himself for the murder by a series of sacrileges, for this is in what the infernal evocations consist according to the grimoire of Honorius. Okay, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this book reading. never had one lesson.